Hi. Long COVID Action Project's most recent space call, held just after the recent Senate hearing on long COVID, was alleged to have platformed misogyny and other harmful ideology. I saw one of the people involved in this call say this wasn't true and to listen to the recording, so I did. And to say he's wrong about that would be an understatement. The following clips come from the first 2 hours of this space call, though it was much longer. None of the speakers received any pushback for what they said.
My issue is I did not have representation at that hearing aside from those activists who didn't get but 30 seconds to hang a banner. All right. That's my issue. I did not have representation. There wasn't a single male at that hearing. And don't think that that's not a big deal because uh you know, what bothered me on one was that they said that this disproportionately impacts women and minorities. They failed. They failed with that statement. It disproportionately impacts people of income classes. Everybody is impacted with long COVID. It's the income classes that are disproportionately impacted. What what the message is when you have an all female folks is that that perpetuates the gaslighting that has been an issue for the MECFS community. You have to have a man on that panel as well. Everybody needs to know that this impacts everybody. I don't need gaslighting to continue. And that's what's going to perpetuate it.
I'm going to have to sign in on the dotted line with what Louis said. I did not feel represented as a male, specifically a white male too. I think Louis illustrates a point that we shouldn't be necessarily framing this as anyone else's problem more than anyone else's. This is a human problem. This is a global problem. It's a national problem. It's a problem in people's families. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter the color of your skin. It doesn't matter your sexual orientation. It doesn't matter what's between your legs. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter your health. This can affect you. So I felt like the focus on intersectional issues is problematic. I understand the need for that. I understand that we need to recognize under, communities that aren't as privileged, but we can't get lost in the weeds with that because that's not going to solve the problem for everybody. It's just not. So that was difficult for me to witness, but I understand it. I just want, there's people in this room and I want you to know, because I don't want to be taken out of context here. I get it. But when it comes to priorities, I don't feel that is the right path to go down at this moment. But hey, keep doing you, whatever you got to do. But I take issue with anybody who perpetuates nothing new. You guys know that. And for me to hear somebody in the halls of Congress say long COVID is not new, MECFS is not new, in that order, in the same sentence, in one breath, proves to me that I am not fucking crazy.
I just find that disgusting.
Yeah, I mean,
Disgusting.
what we're understanding is abject dishonesty. What we're understanding is infiltration of our illness. What we're understanding is the co-opting, the brazen co-opting of our illness. We have been occupied, literally occupied by another illness, other special interests, and the assaults just keep mounting.
I'd like to ask a question, Alba. You're a female. Linda Jones was there. You're a female. Dr. Alice, you're a female. I counted. There's about 70 females. I shouldn't go to my timeline, right? I'm just asking, and see anybody stating that there's misogyny going on, should I? by somebody, I just heard Holly state, she's a female, if I heard correctly. I shouldn't go and scroll and see that there's misogyny going on by males that are suffering for 4 years and saying they didn't necessarily feel heard. I shouldn't see that, right? Did you find anything disparaging Linda Jones or Alba or Alice or any of the other females? I haven't seen anyone leave. I counted. There were more females in this space. I shouldn't go and see that, correct? I just want to make sure I don't see that. Another straw man. I'm sorry that I lost my ability to walk for 2 months and I didn't feel represented by hearing about CoQ10. That's me being misogynistic. That's what's going on in this space. That's being recorded. I should not go see that. I should see thumbs up, right? Because I don't see, I'm looking at the screen, I don't see females leaving.
When there's nothing else to say to drive people away or to deplatform people, then it turns into misogyny. It's racism, it's misogyny. With my, I have been sort of misconstrued that way as well. It's a last ditch effort to delegitimize you and take away your voice.
Tearing down these kinds of actions. We should have had a whole room of people supporting an action like that today. A whole room of people chanting what was being chanted by these two women. But no, they would rather chant that there's sexism and racism in this community instead of focusing on those facts. That is not a fucking path to finding a cure. That is not a path to activism. That is not a path to engaging people. It's a fucking path to disengage people and put us in a place where we'll never get a goddamn thing.
All of this is just driven division. I understand the intersectionality of societal issues, and I understand people wanting to be focused on some of those things. But me personally, I'm focused on long COVID. And like I said earlier, it's an everybody problem. It's an everybody problem, man. And I don't think that it's fair for men like myself to come up after 4 years of disability to be in this position to say, I would like to be represented. I would like my situation represented if we're going to divide this up into categories of people. I don't think that should equate to me being Andrew Tate. It's not. I think using these words, misogyny, sexism, all of this, these are just divisive tactics. They are nobody is saying, nobody in these communities, nobody I know that's in my circles is saying that these are not problems. And nobody is acting that way. Nobody's allowed to act that way in my circles. Nobody's allowed to come into my spaces and be misogynistic or be sexist or be racist. I don't allow for that. You've never allowed for it, Josh. Nobody, Jammer in his spaces, had never allowed for that. It's a distraction, man. And when we say it's a distraction, you don't get to just say that that is that in action, that is the misogyny in action, that is sexism in action. That's not how points are proven. It's just so bothersome.
Disgusting.
It's so bothersome to hear people divide people up when they are screaming solidarity and unity. Just stop it.
Earlier, when there was Occupy Wall Street, there was a good effort of throwing apart Occupy Wall Street. It was successful that it was thrown apart because what happened was the cohesion was lost and a lot of accusations were thrown at each other, infighting, saying people were either misandrist, misogynist, that they benefited from capitalist systems. There was a lot of infighting, and that was dissolved the movement. And of course, this was directed and created infighting by people that wanted to disrupt the movement. So be aware of this. Be aware of if somebody ends up, some of it could be organic, where they could be saying, okay, well, I'm going to call this person this name, misogynist, what have you. It could be just that person feeling that, but in many times it could also be some effort. The seed could have been planted in someone also to kind of disrupt the movement. So what you need to do is stifle those things. Don't let those things take over the conversation. Focus on the unity instead. Okay. And I've got to dip out. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you guys so much.